Stephen Ogg was pleasantly surprised by Chris Jericho's acting work in Dark Match. Stephen Ogg is stepping into the squared circle for Dark Match. Ogg stars as Jolene in this horror slasher that sees a group of Satanists, led by Chris Jericho's leader, attempt to carry out a devilish plan through a series of wrestling matches. Dark Match is the latest of many movie projects that Ogg has developed in recent years. Outside of the big screen, Ogg is best known for playing Simon in The Walking Dead and voicing Trevor in Grand Theft Auto V. In celebration of Dark Match's premiere on Shudder, Screen Rant spoke with Ogg to discuss his personal history with professional wrestling, his experience working with Chris Jericho, and whether we can expect to see him back in Grand Theft Auto V this fall. Stephen Ogg grew up with professional wrestling. Screen Rant: I talked with Jericho about a week ago about this movie, and obviously wrestling is in his DNA. This is a role that was very easy for him to take on. Are you familiar with the sports entertainment world? Are you a fan? Stephen Ogg: oh yeah, I grew up in Calgary, so growing up Calgary was the Hearts, right? The famous house was gone now, but it was on the hill. So growing up, Stampede Wrestling, that was part of my routine. It was bowling in the morning and then rush home to get to the Stampede Wrestling. Even around town, like Keith Hart was a substitute teacher at the school. You'd always see everyone around. You'd see the Cuban Assassin. Bad News Allen used to come to basketball games. This, Dark Match, is a very specific genre of film too, which I had never really done. I'd never done the horror films. So it was appealing on the wrestling and this horror level, and the combination of horror and comedy. There was a lot going on. And then also getting to shoot it in Alberta, which is where I was born, and Alberta is my home province. Those things lining up were like, this is a no-brainer. Jolene is broken in Dark Match. I'd love for you to introduce Jolene to our audience. Who is this guy? What's his role in Dark Match? What are his goals? Stephen Ogg: certainly the way it was written was a bit different than how I portrayed it. I always wanted, with Aisha Issa's character, I wanted to be of service to her. Even though it was the 80s, I was like, listen, not every man was that man of the 80s. There were men that were different. Here's an opportunity to elevate the woman. I really wanted to continue to elevate every chance I got. That really appealed to me as opposed to playing the cocky character. Let's make him a little different. And also the brokenness I wanted to do. He was not just sort of past his prime, but he was broken. When you're collaborating with Jericho on this project, what were some of the things that surprised you that you ended up learning about the professional wrestling business? Stephen Ogg: I don't know if I learned anything different honestly about it that I didn't know. I'd never met Chris, so I will say what I learned was what an absolute lovely human being he is. As far as when he did that first scene, I was sort of like, it's when we first met, he was up there and I was like, here we go. We're going to see if we're in for someone who can just wrestle. Afterwards I said, and of course it's sort of telling someone, you look really nice today. Well, so what does that mean? I looked horrible yesterday. I did tell him after the scene. I was like, man, I was pleasantly surprised. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the most sincere way. I just didn't know what you were capable of any more than if you saw me get into the wrestling ring. Then it just became about how he's a lovely man and helped me when I was injured because I had this injury when I was there, and he was great at pointing me in directions of people to get help and physical therapy with. In life, I'll take the humanity and the kindness of someone over whatever it is they're specifically doing career-wise. Will Trevor return for Grand Theft Auto VI? Like many young reporters in this game right now, I grew up on Grand Theft Auto 5. I played that game for hours and hours and hours throughout middle school and high school. Are you getting bombarded right now with GTA-related questions now since VI is coming out in the fall? Stephen Ogg: not really, it's always been there. It's been 10 years now, or 11 years. And especially from your generation, I have had people that have grown up with me, and the connection with a video game is so different. It's not like a movie or a TV show. Even if you watch it every day, it's a total different experience than literally kind of embodying my character and hearing my voice for not just 2, 3 hours, but for 10 king years. It's different, so I understand it. But as far as the GTA 6 or anything, I don't know because it's not my world.